So, cheers, congratulations,
Cheers
first and
again.
foremost.
Yeah.
June 9th is the 40th anniversary. Is that a big deal around the company?
Yeah, it's pretty significant. June 9th, 1980 is when Gosling's first trademarked the Dark and Stormy here in Bermuda. But 1980 is also the year that Gosling's began exporting Black Seal rum from the island. So it's really the start of the business expanding internationally.
That's great. And so, what was the process in getting that trademarked?
Well, it was just registered with a lawyer here in Bermuda, but then they started registering other markets internationally after 1980.
Was there a reasoning behind it because you guys wanted to nail down that cocktail to really cement your brand?
The reason for trademarking a cocktail is to protect the integrity of the drink. Now, for example, if you're a visitor to Bermuda and you come here and enjoy a Dark and Stormy, you go home to Boston, wherever you're from, and you order a Dark and Stormy, you want it to taste just like it did when you were in Bermuda. Right? So that's the whole reason there, is protecting the integrity of the cocktail. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, you do not want to discourage other rums from mixing with ginger beer, right? Because there are other rums that are delicious with ginger beer. But if you're going to call it a Dark and Stormy, it's got to be made a certain way with Gosling's Black Seal rum and ginger beer.
Right. So you guys had a lot planned leading up to this day. Unfortunately, the world's kind of gone to apocalypse now. 2012 is looking on in jealousy.
Yeah.
So what did you have planned, and what have you guys done in the meantime to kind of roll with the punches?
So our initial goal was to make the world's largest Dark and Stormy. So in 2015 in Copenhagen, Denmark, our importers there made 1,000-liter Dark and Stormy for a music festival in the city. And so our goal was to break that record on June 9th, 2020 here. So we contacted the Guinness Book of Records and had everything lined up, and we were literally ready to hit go. Whereas now the celebration has moved to more of a virtual space and on social media.
Did that kind of grind your gears a little bit to have Copenhagen have that record?
Not really, because we will break it. It's just a matter of when.
What's the logistics in going into breaking something like that?
Well, you have to contact the Guinness Book of World Records, and they're going to send down an invigilator, and so there is a process to it. So they kind of give you the guidelines, and if you're going to make a 1,000-liter beverage and try and break this record, you have to drink it. You can't just make it and show it off. You know, it has to be consumed, and it has to be made in a vessel that represents a glass. I couldn't make it in a stainless steel mixing tank. So we were going to get a custom barrel mug. So these are our barrel mugs here that represent the old bourbon barrels that we age Gosling's Black Seal in. And that's where a lot of the color of the rum comes from, is the barrel aging process. So we were going to make basically a vessel bigger than 1,000 liters to hold the Dark and Stormy there. So you need big chunks of ice and lots of ginger beer and lots of rum.
How do you pour the rum in? You're not pouring it from the bottles, so are you taking it directly from the barrels, or?
Well, here in Bermuda, we actually do quite a bit of bulk rum, because obviously no one manufactures glass here on the island. So all the bottling that we do on island, we have to import the glass. So establishments like the Swiss Lynn that go through a lot of rum, we actually did a blend of rum for them in a barrel that they buy 200 liters at a time. So it eliminates all the waste of the glass. So we would have had barrels of rum, and we probably would have pumped it in the top. The ginger beer would have been a little more complicated as well. You obviously don't want to open cans of ginger beer to fill 1,000 liters, but we could have set up a fountain system to stream it into the vessel.
And who gets to be drinking this?
Well, we were going to have a public event and really make a big celebration of it, local entertainment, and do something for charity. So if you purchased the Dark and Stormy, all that money would go to charity.
So give us a little bit of a background on the origins of the Dark and Stormy with Gosling's, and how that's played into your branding over the years.
So Gosling's obviously is a family business originally from England. There was William Gosling, who was a wine and spirit merchant there, and wanted to expand his business to the new colonies in America. So he asked his eldest son, James Gosling, to get on a boat and make the voyage across the Atlantic. They chartered a ship called the Mercury and loaded it up with 10,000 pounds sterling worth of wines and spirits. A lot of liquor. And so James was pretty excited to be getting on the boat with all of his father's alcohol. And they set sail across the Atlantic, never made it to the new colonies. So they were becalmed at sea, and the captain gave him an ultimatum. You're either going back to England, or we're going to drop you off in the closest British port, which was St. George, Bermuda. So August 27th, 1806, James Gosling arrived in Bermuda with this cargo of alcohol. And in 1909, the construction began on the Royal Naval Dockyard. So the Goslinks knew right away there was demand for rum in Bermuda, but the geography of the island is too small. It's 21 square miles. There's not enough land here to grow the sugarcane that you need to produce a substantial amount of rum. So the Goslinks began sourcing rums from all over the West Indies, blending it here in Bermuda, aging it, and selling it in draft.
Tell us about the aging process with the rum. How does that start, and where do you guys separate yourselves in terms of dark rum?
Well, Black Seal is known around the world as the benchmark black rum. The aging is important. A lot of black rums don't have a significant amount of barrel aging. They derive their color with the addition of caramel. Goslin's Black Seal uses once-used bourbon barrels, which we re-toast, so that caramelizes all the sugar left from the bourbon and the natural sugars in the grain of the oak. So the rum soaks that in, helps to give it that beautiful dark color. We blend 3 different rums that are aged independently to make that Gosling's Black Seal rum. The youngest spends 3 years in the barrel and the oldest 6. So it's still a relatively youthful rum, but some black rums might only have a year or 2 of barrel aging in comparison.
What about the ginger beer? Is that a proprietary ginger beer? Or,
yeah, Goslin started making ginger beer in 2009 in partnership with Polar Beverages. And Polar Beverages is a family-owned soft drink company based in Worcester, Massachusetts. But ginger beer itself is a British tradition and was introduced here to the island by the Navy. And they would actually produce ginger beer in the Royal Naval Dockyard as a medicinal tonic for helping to cure stomach ailments. They then began selling that ginger beer to the locals, and it didn't take long for the locals to figure out what the ginger beer was missing. The Black Seal rum.
Exactly.
So it was that magical combination of Black Seal rum and ginger beer that is famous the world around.
And when did you guys start canning them? I know that was a big sort of benchmark in Gosling's business history.
You know, it's amazing how ready-to-drink canned cocktails are so trendy at the moment.
Yeah.
But if you told me, 15 years ago when I was first getting into the business that vodka soda in a can would be a thing, I would have laughed at you. But Gosling's was ahead of the time. They were canning the Dark and Stormy ready-to-drink at Barrett's facility in Smiths Parish as early as the 1980s. And that stopped in 2010. The current package we have here, we started canning in 2011. And this Dark and Stormy is sold all over the world. It's in Canada, US, UK, and Europe.
Now, just anecdotally, I remember growing up when I was first going away to boarding school, I wouldn't have seen Gosling's kind of products really anywhere. But then there came a certain point where there wasn't really a liquor store that I was going to that didn't carry it. Was that something that has actually happened with you guys, or is that just me?
Dunning-Kruger effecting 1980 was the first time they exported rum from Bermuda, and it would have been a 20-foot shipping container going out with almost 1,000 cases of rum. You could fit in a 20-foot container. I think it took them a couple of years to sell the first one.
Wow, right? Really?
Whereas now, Black Seal rum is a staple on back bars around the world, and a lot of it is because of the demand of the Dark and Stormy. The Dark and Stormy is among the top 20 most requested cocktails in the world. So distribution of Black Seal is now widely available. I first started working for the company in 2002, and one of our first marketing campaigns we developed around 2005 was Gosling's rum unavailable almost everywhere.
Right.
Because at that point it was really hard to get. Whereas now, 2020, you're right, majority of liquor stores you walk into will have it on the shelf.
So June 9th is the registered now international holiday for, International Day for Dark and Stormy.
Yeah,
Can you tell us a little bit about that process of getting it registered?
Yeah, so there's a website, National Calendar today, website that we registered International Dark and Stormy Day. So it's the first time that Bermuda has registered an international day in general. And so it was a unique way to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the trademark. So we'll be celebrating on June 23rd this year, and it's a virtual celebration. Right. So we're going to be using our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where we'll be engaging with our international partners and a lot of culinary creations as well that have been inspired by the Dark and Stormy.
And this is actually not like just some standard sort of alcohol company holiday. Not a whole lot of businesses that make alcohol have a patented cocktail, do they? No,
there's only a handful of trademark cocktails in the world. And one of them is the Sazerac from New Orleans, which is known as the signature drink of New Orleans. The other is a Painkiller, which is registered by Puzzler's Rum. And then the Lynchburg Lemonade, which is a Jack Daniels cocktail. So there's not many cocktails that have the trademark, and there's not many cocktails that are recognized as the national drink either. So it was the former premier in Bermuda that highlighted the Dark and Stormy as our national drink here in Bermuda. So I think the cocktail has a lot of local pride, so it's going to be a big celebration here in Bermuda.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we have the standard Dark and Stormy, rum, ginger beer, lime. Do you have any other kind of favorite ways of mixing it?
You said it pretty good there. No, I mean, that's the recipe there, but there are a lot of cocktails that are inspired by the Dark and Stormy as well, and variations on that. For example, the Perfect Storm is made with Gosling's Black Seal 151 proof instead of the standard bottle strength of 80 proof. So a lot stronger, but again, it's personal preference. We also do frozen Dark and Stormies now. We partner with Calvin's Organic Syrups in the U.S. and make a frozen Dark and Stormy, which is so refreshing. It really is a really elevated way to enjoy it.
I've never had that. That sounds amazing.
They are delicious.
All right. Well, thanks, mate. It's been nice talking to you.
Cheers. Same to
and
you.
Thank you for bringing along the drinks.
My pleasure.